morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. I'm here with Rob and Donald. And I'm actually going to say good morning to everybody except the New York fucking Yankees, who lost another series to the Red Sox. That's now 7 straight series without capitalizing on a win. So we have 5 series losses, 2 series splits, and that is the definition of unacceptable Yankees baseball. Stop pitching the Devers. It's keep Rice where he is. I think Rice was the only highlight or spotlight of the whole series. We'll talk about it, I'm sure in detail about his performance in Game 2. But you got, big shout out to Rob, Donald, Lynn, NFE, Sierra, like everybody that was involved with the chat one way or another last night for the live stream for the game. And to all the new subscribers, welcome to the family. I apologize for not being able to jump in, but I was spending time with my wife. So, but to everybody that did participate, big thank you to all of you guys. But I do have to say, the performance of this team is just complete shit. It's almost like we're averaging a win a week over the last month and a half. That is not sustainable. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm not going to lay down and be like, okay, originally we were 27 games above 500. You lose a couple, you're like, okay, we have that cushion, to kind of have a rough series, but now it's just snowballing where they just can't get out of their own way. Game 2 was one of those games that should have been a catapult to right the ship. It wasn't. We saw in Game 2.
Sierra, this jersey's just for you after our conversation last night. Salute.
So it's it's so unfortunate that we have to sit and watch this crap on the screen. It really is. You guys were in the trenches with it last night. So Rob, what was the feeling throughout the game? Which started out as a very nice little pitcher's duel.
Depression, sadness, anger. This is like Inside Out, the movie. We're just getting all the reaction, all the feelings out there. It's bad. It's bad baseball. I feel bad for Luis Heel because he had his best start in a good month. He pitched his ass off last night. He looked like the Luis Heel that we were hyping up all the first 2 months of the season. And then the offense just took the night off. They looked like they didn't care. And when you have a pitcher that has not pitched past the 7th inning at 68 pitches, that's just unacceptable. The offense was terrible, aside from a couple of guys who got hits. And even then, I didn't really care. Soto got a hit, good for him. DJ got another hit, good for him. It didn't matter because the Yankees could not string together any sort of rally. And the Yankees just continue to make the same mistake over and over, and it just seems like the manager doesn't care now because he's recycling his old lines from 2 years ago. So someone hit the rewind button on Aaron Boone, and now he's just spitting out lines he's already used. So that's where we are. We've hit that point in the season where Aaron Boone's just saying nonsense. The team looks dead, and there's not much to be excited about. Ben Rice had a fantastic game, but nobody showed up in Game 3. And if this team wants to turn it around, they have to start winning series. That's how you break out of a slump. You got to win series. You can't just win a game and then lose 3. Because by the time we know it, this is going to end up being a 500 team at this rate. And it stinks because they're still 18 games over, and they're looking like they just don't care. And that's something you don't want to see from a team that has World Series aspirations. They don't look like they care. They're not fighting in a lot of these games. A lot of these losses are just no competition. Red Sox kicked their ass again. And it's not like they were beating the crap out of the ball, but they only needed one big hit because we weren't scoring. Just zero urgency from this team right now.
No, it's when you're putting up, when your offense is putting up that goose egg, you can't, you're not going to win. That's the simple truth of it. If you're not scoring runs, you can't win the game. And the Yankees they are struggling to be consistent with the bat. I saw a tweet somewhere, I don't remember who it was, but somewhere on the timeline on Twitter, where what happened to the patience that we were seeing at the plate in the beginning of the year, where it was 1 through 9, everybody was wearing a pitcher out, where now you're really only seeing it from 3 or 4 guys that are showing some patience at the plate. And I think that's also part of the problem. They're pressing. They're so desperate to get back on track that they're kind of losing themselves. Donald, what do you think?
I think it's a management issue. I think there's a lack of leadership. I've just seen quite clearly there's a lack of leadership because, like a really good rock band, Aaron Boone brought back his greatest hits. And one of that would be, it's right there in front of us. It's right there in front of us, people. Great. That's it. Just like a freaking rock band, he's bringing out his greatest hits. That was his greatest hits right there in front of us. What are you talking about? There was no effort to produce runs last night. There was no effort from the dugout to hit and run, do anything that resembled anything. Not a bunt, not a stolen base. We haven't stolen a base in 20 games. How is that possible? 20 games without a stolen base? Not one.
Well, we got to be on base to fucking steal.
I mean, yeah, but we have been on base. We don't steal any bases. We don't do any hit and runs. We ground into double plays, and then that's it. We go home. That's it. I mean, another thing that speaks to this lack of leadership, in 4 of the first 5 innings that Cutter Crawford threw, he threw less than 7 pitches. That's impossible. He had about 50 pitches thrown after about 6 innings. There was no effort to walk, to draw walks, to work the count, do anything, take some pitches. And how after 2 innings where he basically thrown about 10 pitches, why didn't Aaron Boone say, right, let's change our approach. This approach isn't working. We can't get on base. We're swinging at the first pitch and it's not going anywhere. Let's change our approach. Let's be patient. The only time that we actually did anything as Cutter Crawford is when Juan Soto worked the count to 3-0. Then he got himself in a fastball count, hit the fastball in the gap, and got a double. But everyone else, that includes Aaron Judge, we're just swinging at the first pitch, swinging at the second pitch, done, on to the next one. See you tomorrow, or in this case, Tuesday. And that was a terrible approach. It wasn't working. It was not working. The guy had 50 pitches thrown after about 6 innings. That's impossible. It's embarrassing. They just made no effort to compete. None. And Aaron Boone defends it. I love her compete. Whatever that means. It's right there in front of us. We lost 16-22. And also another thing that speaks to his lack of leadership is he continues to defend things that are indefensible. DJ LeMahieu. You can't even run out ground balls? Well, what's going on here? You can't run out a ground ball? All you do is hit ground balls. That means you're going to have to start running to first if you want to get on base. He doesn't do it. He had like a 40-mile-an-hour ground ball that took about 50 bounces, and he still couldn't make it to first base. Right? What is going on? Another thing, Boston, they can't field. Right? They're not good at great infield defense. Put the ball in play. Pressure them. Did they do it? Did they? Hell. A couple of pop-ups. Put your tail between your legs and go home. This is a leadership issue. This is a leadership issue. There's just a lack of effort and a lack of intensity, and Aaron Boone cultivates that. He cultivates it.
Yeah. No, it's the sad reality of it, and want to shout out everybody in the chat. You guys are the MVPs every day, every award show. You guys know who it is. This coming in from Damien. I guarantee you, fire Boone today, the season turns around immediately because accountability is now in effect. And that's the one thing that's missing from this team. And it's been like this for a couple of years. There's no accountability. You know, I don't want to use the same recipe as like what Philly did when they fired Girardi and they promoted Rob Thompson. But we saw the effects of, oh shit, if they can get rid of him, they can get rid of any of us. It's a lot of these teams. They're in the business to make money, and the money is in the postseason. So if you're not making it to the postseason, we thought that this was going to be a totally different year after missing the postseason last year. Where they didn't get those postseason checks. They didn't have the ticket sales, for the postseason. We're like, all right, they made the move for Soto. They brought in Rodon. They put out an offer for Masahiro. They put not Masahiro. You know what I'm talking about. They put in the offer for Snell. Yamamoto. They put in the offer for those two guys. I mean, they really put the effort in to bolster this team. Some players just didn't take the contract. That's not the Yankees' fault. They put in a legitimate offer. But nobody's job should be that secure. Same thing with Cashman. The lifetime GM. Enough. I can't take it. It's because when the Yankees are playing this bad, it just drudges up all the bullshit that we've had to endure over the last 5 years.
Right, but can you guys hear me okay? Because I know
Perfect.
Ken was bringing up. Okay, good. I just need to change something on my mic. Hopefully it doesn't break up like it did earlier, but I don't think this is Cashman's fault. How can you blame Brian Cashman? He got everything that we asked him to get this offseason. We wanted Juan Soto. He got Juan Soto. We wanted another left-handed outfielder. He got Verdugo. Up until this slump, Verdugo was doing great. We needed another starter. I would have preferred Yamamoto, but he didn't want to come here. So he had to pivot quickly. Got a pretty good deal on Stroman, who's been good overall. Mm-hmm. He didn't panic when Cole went down. He let Luis Heel get the job out of the spring, or the Yankees gave it to him, and he's been great. They've survived without Garrett Cole up till this point. The team he put together is not bad. It's just playing like absolute crap. But the point is that they are – one thing you can say about them is that maybe they didn't plan for injuries well enough. But then again, everyone that could have been a replacement right now is hurt. Legitimately, everybody. Pereira, Dominguez.
The backup plan fell apart.
Clayton Beater is hurt. Caleb Durbin is hurt. All these guys are injured. So, yeah, the injury excuse is usable, but it's not the whole thing. So I can't blame Cashman for anything going on right now. I really can't. I think the issue is what they should do is just try and see what they have in the farm. And I said this at the end of the stream last night, and I'll continue to say it today. See what you have down there. Just pick like 3 guys that are ready right now. And there are 3 guys that are probably ready right now. Go ahead and give them a shot and see what you have, because you can learn a lot between now and the deadline. So you don't have to go crazy at the deadline. You might not have to make a crazy trade, but when these slumps happen, the players that are on the field need to step up. There's a lot of money being tied to 3 guys that are severely struggling, and they can't have that. They simply cannot have that. Even if you look at the pitching side, Carlos Rodon has been pitiful during this slump. Absolutely pitiful. Inexcusable. He's getting paid $27 million. He needs to be better. DJ LeMahieu, $15 million. He can barely hit the ball out of the infield. Gleyber Torres, he's been hot, but they don't want to put him on the IL with his groin injury, so that's their issue. Overall, he hasn't been that good this year. He's making $14 million, and Verdugo is getting, $8, $9 million, and he's not really hitting as of late. So you need these guys to step up.
Further to Rob's point, I can't blame Brian Cashman for DJ LeMahieu having the worst year of his career. I mean, at the end of the day, none of us would have expected this. None of us would have expected him to go the first 81 at-bats without a single extra base hit. No one. So I can't really blame him for that. Again, I can't blame him for Gleyber Torres. He thought the best course of action was to ride it out in his contract year. He probably would get a little bit of an uptick in his performance. in his walk year. Instead, he's had one of the worst walk years in the history of baseball. Right? I can't blame Cashman for that because last year Gleyber Torres was pretty good. So at the end of the day, that's on Gleyber. So I can't blame him for that either. The only thing I could think of is he clearly knew that Stanton was going to get hurt this year. So his only plan B was Dominguez, but he was coming off. He was recovering from surgery. You can't predict how long surgery is going to take, or if there's going to be a setback. That was his only plan B, and there's not a plan C from the looks of things. So that I can blame Cashman for. But really, I think he's pivoted fine. Another thing I can blame Cashman for is the bullpen. I didn't understand the philosophy of having a bullpen of all the same guys, all the same kind of journeyman / guys that have been turned around by Matt Blake, but they all throw sinkers and they all are ground ball guys. That's a terrible way to build a bullpen. So that's blown up in this base. That legit. But apart from that, this is on Aaron Boone. This is on the players. It's as simple as that. And I am now well past the point of, you know what? Aaron Boone doesn't make these guys hit. No, he doesn't. But he doesn't do anything to help either. He just sits there. I have never once seen him give any signs from the dugout. Ever. There's nothing. He doesn't do anything. There's not a single sign that has ever come from him in the dugout. What does he do as a manager? If you're seeing this team aren't playing, this team is just grounding in and outs every 2 pitches. There's not any change in philosophy, change in tactics, nothing. He just sits there. That's on the manager. And also, defending the indefensible, that is on the manager. If guys like Grisham are just like that in front of a packed house at Yankee Stadium, that's on the manager. It is. It's all on Grisham, but at the end of the day, the manager has to cut that out. Because if he doesn't cut that out, that continues. And we've seen it. Got DJ LeMahieu feeling pretty bad. Oh, well, you know what? I'll just kind of half-ass it to first base. Gleyber Torres, I'm not even going to ass it to first base. But it's okay. It's their style, according to Aaron Boone. It's just their style. That's just the way they do it.
Change your style.
We love them. No, I don't want to hear about how much you love them. It's a competitive industry. There has to be some level of effort and accountability. There just has to be. These are grown-ass men. Why are you so scared to speak to grown-ass men? And why are you so scared to just be honest to the media? Just be honest. Just tell it as it is. No, you don't have to go and... Another thing, good defenders always say, well, it's not like the old days anymore. You're not going to get a Jim Leland anymore, all this kind of Lou Piniella. I'm not asking him to be the Lou Piniella. I'm not asking him to be anybody else other than himself. All I'm asking is just to be honest and just say things as they are, because we have a very low tolerance for bullshit in New York. He should know that better than anyone. He's been in this game for a long time. He knows better than anyone that if there's one market that you don't spout bullshit to, it's New Yorkers, because we don't buy it, right? So, just be honest. Losing 16-22, just be honest. This is unacceptable. I will work doubly hard with these guys to put our best foot forward tomorrow. Whatever needs to be worked on, we will spend this off day to look at it and work on it, because that is not acceptable in front of 50,000 fans. Do you know how much fans would appreciate that? Knowing that your manager is paying attention to the fact that you get a sellout every night and you didn't turn up? I'd like to hear my manager just say, you know what? This is a full house. We didn't show up for them. We're going to put our best foot forward and get this thing fixed ASAP. Love to hear that. That's not calling anybody out. That's just being a little bit more urgent. But we don't hear that. We just hear platitudes, and we hear, oh, we love them. They're so wonderful. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck off. Fuck off.
I want to throw in, I know it's the end of the series, and we're going to get to Donald's Awards in a few minutes, but I want to throw in a very, almost like a special agree or disagree, right? Because we did bring Cashman up, and I had this in my notes. Because we kept, But the agree or disagree that I wanted to throw in there, is where is Cashman? Has he checked out? Being he hasn't publicly spoken on the Yankees' failures, because usually we give him credit for kind of being very in front of the camera when these times hit, and he'll hold his little press conferences. You don't even see him in a picture anywhere. So are we surprised at the change in Cashman from what we've seen in the past that he has not addressed the public yet?
No. I think they'll wait. There's only a couple of weeks till the All-Star break anyway, so if this keeps up by the All-Star break and he doesn't speak, then I'll be a little pissed off. But as of now,
Donald, are you surprised by Cashman's silence?
He usually speaks when all shit is hit the fan. That's usually
what are they waiting for?
Exactly. But I think it's the fact that Yankees had such a hot streak that he's still kind of laying in the weeds. But normally, when shit completely hits the fan and Aaron Boone can't get through to the locker room, that's when he comes and has a meeting with these guys. That's when he goes and talks to them. Because Cashman has to play bad cop because Mr. Softy ice cream. He takes them out for ice cream and talks about their families. Brian Cashman does actually kind of hold people accountable. So maybe if this continues prior to the All-Star break, maybe then Brian Cashman will go and speak to people in the locker room. That's usually what he does. Because he's never going to fire Aaron Boone because it looks bad on him. Because he's changed the entire Yankee philosophy into this whole we love our players kind of stuff. And he's the one that changed it after 2017. We've talked about it before. He's the one that got rid of guys like Pena, and got rid of Rob Thompson, got rid of Joe Girardi, guys that actually, sorry Rob, it's true, but guys that actually managed, guys that actually coached, guys that actually did these things, guys that actually knew the Yankee way, Rob Thompson in particular, right? He got rid of all those guys in favor of this new kind of this new style. So, woohoo, right? We love our players kind of style. Tell me about your deepest, darkest secrets. We will help each other through it. Let's talk. Right? Blah, blah, blah. That's what Aaron Boone does, and that's what his coaches do. That's what Brian Cashman wanted, right? It's not really working, though. So, it'll be interesting to see if we do finally get a change. But it's not going to be this year. So no matter how bad things get this year, nothing's going to change.
I was shaking my head at Jared's comment about the strip club. It wasn't what you were saying. It's early in the morning, and I'm seeing stuff about strip clubs. It's a little
weird. Wait a minute. Either way, we're getting robbed of our money, whether we're at the strip club or the Yankee game.
What's this? I need to see the strip club comment.
How'd you miss it?
It's from Jared. He said Boone couldn't manage a strip club.
Oh!
No, but with the whole accountability, it really does start from the top up, the top down, right? Because after years of ineptitude and failures, freaking Cashman was still able to keep his job as the adopted Steinbrenner. Right, so he's never been held accountable for. This is actually getting very entertaining. Let's see how far this can go.
Yeah, new segment. What can and can't Aaron Boone manage? Let us know in the chat.
Exactly. That's what I want to see.
Believe me, we could all use the laugh this morning. Trust me.
Put in your most creative ones, and we will give it a highlight.
Cashman's got
At the end of the show, we'll decide which one is the best. That's what we'll do.
All right.
That's part of Donald's awards.
Cashman isn't held accountable for his shortcomings. Boone's not held accountable for his, so why should the players be held accountable for theirs? That's how it all lays out. So if you see that everybody else above you is getting a free pass, you're like, fuck it. I'm going to do what I want to do. If you have a boss that doesn't care, then why should I care? If I have a boss that's not going to defend me when I need defending, I'm not going to respect him, and I'm just going to do whatever I want to do because there's no repercussions. There's no penalty for underperforming, and I think that's the trap when we get these points of the season where it just completely looks like they have no idea what they're doing. You're not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel because there is none. You would have thought that the way that this series was mapping out with the blown save in game one, where we were a strike away from winning, the outburst in game two, you're like, okay, they were that pissed off that they were that close. Here we go. And then last night, where it was like, there's that team again. So they've been holding themselves back from building their own momentum.
There is no, yeah, exactly. And we talked about this yesterday, how the game is, Sierra brought it up, how the game is based off of momentum. Look how much momentum we had early in the season. We couldn't lose. And now we can't win. And that first game set the tone, you would think, because they blew it. They had a chance to win this series. If they didn't blow that first game, we wouldn't be 2 down right now. Like, okay, at least they took the series. But they blew the first game. Then they come out and score 14 2 days ago. And then yesterday they lay an egg. How does that happen with this team all the time? How is it that every time they score, they put a crooked number up, they flatline the next day? They did it against Toronto.
Yeah.
Twice. They did it against the Blue Jays. So I can't explain it. It's weird because clearly this team can hit. You don't put up 14. I know 7 of them came for one guy, but 7 other runs are put together by the rest of this offense. This team can clearly put up a big offensive number, but the inconsistencies are an issue. And when they get into a slump, it's like they all forget how to hit at the same time. And it's up to 1 or 2 guys to try to carry the team. Aaron Judge is starting to slump a little bit, but we can't put any sort of blame on him because he's put the team on his shoulders. Juan Soto has been kind of ineffective for a good month now since that forearm injury. Aside from drawing walks, he hasn't really done much. So hopefully he can pick it up too. But if these guys around them are not going to do it, you can't put too much on Soto. 2 guys cannot carry an offense. And because of that, the Red Sox have caught up. The Orioles are up by 3 games now. So we've lost first place. We could lose second place at this rate. And all of a sudden, before we know it, we could be chasing the 2nd or 3rd wild card spot. I know it sounds crazy to say that because we're 18 games over, but the way they're playing and how the game is based off momentum and who we got coming up on the schedule, we could easily be in 3rd place by the time we get to the All-Star break. And that's scary. That's how good Boston's playing. And that's how bad we're playing.
And we can't win any of our rival series. We can't beat any of our rivals. We can't beat anybody in our division and any of our rivals. We just can't do it. And it doesn't matter how bad our rivals are. We still can't beat them. We aren't competitive in any of our division games. Boston, Toronto, Baltimore especially. Not there. Tampa have always kicked our ass.
Yeah,
the Mets pissed all over our graves last time.
Well, that was the last highlight of their season. So
what's going on? Like, what is going on? How are we not? Another thing about the lack of leadership. If we can't get up for these games on national TV or a full house at Yankee Stadium, whatever, even Fenway, whatever, how are we going to get up for any of these games going on later in the year? They have the same attitude. How did they not come out all guns blazing or the opportunity to beat the Red Sox and win the series last night? Full house Yankee Stadium, national television. And they didn't bother showing up. They swung at the first pitch and managed to get their 9:30 dinner reservation. That's incredible. So if they can't get up for these big games, what game are they going to get up for? That's another worry that I've got, and that's what speaks to this lack of leadership. And Rob, you were saying that Soto's been largely ineffective the last couple of weeks, right? I love Soto so much. It's like absolute breath of fresh air. Do you? Because I touched on this last night. Do you think he's playing with a little bit less joy than he had when he started off this year? He started off with loads of energy and that bravado and the shuffle and the posing after the home runs and the bat flips and like this is my freaking house, right? And even in the outfield, a lot of joy and signing autographs and all this shit. He's the man, right? The Yankees just completely took to him. He took to the Yankees. The last month, he has played with such little joy. It looks like this locker room, where nothing seems to matter, has affected him because he is not playing with that same joy. I'm not seeing any shuffles. I'm not seeing the Juan Soto that we all love. And it just seems to have dissipated. And I think it speaks to the lack of leadership in the locker room because there just seems to be a lack of energy. And it's now infiltrated Juan Soto. That's my opinion. Rob, do you agree?
I mean, it seems that way, but he hasn't had a lot to be happy about. No one looks pretty happy out there. Judge doesn't look very happy. None of these guys really do. The only time they looked happy was when Ben Rice was hitting 3 home runs, and you thought would have gotten them back up. Because look at how they responded. Garrett Cole got tagged again by Devers. Cole, how pissed did Garrett Cole look? Because all the Red Sox were staring down Verdugo because Verdugo's long trot. And it was like, now they're mad. And the Yankees responded by putting up a huge number the very next inning. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that could be the catapult. It wasn't. So it seems like nothing can get this team fired up anymore unless it's for one game. And I don't know. Yeah, Damian, everyone's playing with less energy. You're right. I don't know if Soto is really more hurt than they're leading on. Because ever since that forearm thing became an issue, or his at-bats have not been that good. And he had the hand injury that he had. I know he came back the next day and had a hit. But, I mean, maybe it's worse than we think, but he's just able to kind of play through it. But if it's affecting his at-bats, I don't know. And also at the same time, though, you can tell they're not pitching him the same. But yesterday, his at-bats were bad also. He's swinging at everything when he usually doesn't. The only at-bat he didn't swing at everything was when he got the double. But his first 2 at-bats, he saw 3 pitches in total. I mean, I don't want to put too much on Soto because he put this team on his back for the first, 2-3 weeks of the season. Until Judge got going is when Soto had the team on his shoulders. And the two of them were hand in hand in putting this team where they were. But, again, you can't rely on the same 2 people every night, not in a 9-man lineup. So I'm hoping that Rice can be a consistent hitter at the top of the order, and that'll just have a trickle effect on everybody else. Because once the rest of this lineup starts to hit at least somewhat better, then Soto and Judge will get pitches to hit. Because you saw that when they were winning games. You couldn't pitch to them. You could pitch to them. You had to because the rest of the lineup was hitting. Giancarlo was hitting. Volpe was hitting. Even Rizzo, to a degree, was having better at-bats. You couldn't pitch around these guys to pitch to the rest of the lineup. Gleyber Torres was having decent at-bats. So this is the result. Why pitch to these guys that can tag you when I can just deal with the ground ball merchants at the bottom of the order? 4 through 9 is nothing but ground ball merchants right now.
Volpe's a strikeout machine too.
Yep.
Volpe, and you know what? As much as we're bashing Cashman, bashing Boone, at least he finally showed the slight bit of leadership and doing the right thing and moving them down the order.
That's true.
And look, let's get the pressure off of you. Ben Rice is the hot bat. He takes the same approach as Soto, with patience at the plate. Because I think Soto, I think the forearm's bothering him a little bit. I don't think it's enough to take, put him on an IL, but I do think there's still a little bit of soreness where he just doesn't have the same emphasis behind the swing, even though he has sprinkled in some extra base hits. But the Yankees better get it in order soon, because I'm looking at the standings. We brought that up a few minutes ago. With 3 games out of first, and the Boston's only 4.5 behind us, and we know how quickly that could shift. We've seen it. I
think he was saying we've seen it over and over.
Yeah.
Because, the Orioles picked up ground, and they overlapped us. And now the Red Sox are right behind us. There you go. That's the issue right there. And if this keeps up the way they're playing with the two teams we have coming up, the Red Sox will be in second place by the All-Star break.
Sorry, the dog rolled over and took the cord with her.
That's a big ass dog, man.
Yeah, it's a big. So,
I mean, I listened to Alex Cora on the Michael K show, man, and it's just interesting. That guy that's a man who is in charge of his team. That is a man who has a plan. He maximizes what he has out of his team. Does Aaron Boone maximize what he has out of this team? That's my question. To the chat, to people that defend Aaron Boone. Does he maximize the most out of what we've got? Because we legitimately have two of the best hitters in baseball, one after the other in the order, and they play basically every day. Aaron Judge is having one of the greatest seasons of all time. And we were still losing a lot. So it speaks to the rest of this team. Is Aaron Boone getting the most out of this team? Look at that Boston team. Look at this Boston team. It's Devers and then a bunch of role players. Some better than others. Guys like Rafael look like they've got a future, but it's not a great team.
Duran looks good.
It's stretch the imagination. But Devers is a machine. But apart from that, they don't have the best team. They don't have great pitching. Quite like Cutter Crawford, I have to say. But they don't have great pitching. They don't have a great lineup. But they maximize the most of their talent. If they steal bases, they'll steal bases. They found a hole in the way that the Yankees deal with throwing people out. So they maximize their strengths. But what Cora said was, well, to be honest, our strength is we've got a bunch of fast guys that are athletic, so we make the most of it, stealing bases, and put pressure on the Yankees. Right? That's his strength. And he's like, now we've also got guys who, aren't the full finished product yet. So I have them do extra infield drills, extra batting practice. We start early, get them ready. Guess what? That team looks prepared. That team keeps winning at a massive, massive rate. From looking like they were dead in the water, and they've gone on a massive winning streak, and they're doing it with such little talent. That speaks to me like a really good manager. And a big salute to Anthony Garcia, who's a big supporter of ours. You are an absolute legend. Yankees have no killer instincts. Every team that we play wants to stomp us. We always shit ourselves in big series. Zero urgency. And this comes from Boone. The lack of urgency comes from Boone. Absolute star of the chat, Anthony Garcia.
We always appreciate it. But with that being said, what's going on, TC? I saw you sneak in here. But we are at that point. But it is time for the awards.
Okay, let's get going, guys. Let's get moving. Let's get these awards ready to rock and roll. Get your pens and pencils ready. Let's get your awards. Let's start with the MVP. The MVP for me is Rice Baby. He was absolutely amazing. Of all the negativity, there's one thing to be positive about, and that was his 3-home run night. A historic night, one of the greatest nights for a rookie in Yankee history. Got a curtain call, 3 home runs. He was amazing. And for that one night, it made us all love baseball again, because that's what baseball does, man. It creates these moments that you're just like, wow, that is like pure cinema. And Ben Rice provided another special moment, and it was really a breath of fresh air. He is a breath of fresh air. He's so got a big, bright smile. He's a born and bred Yankee fan, and he plays with joy, and boy, does he hit. Boy, does he hit. He's been absolutely amazing since being called up, and he was wonderful. So that 3-home run night, he is the MVP. Let's go with Rob.
Ben Rice. There's no discussion. There's only one person deserving of it, and it's Ben Rice.
Yeah, It's Rice. There's no way around that one.
Absolutely. Sierra says Ben Rice is an American hero. We love it. John, he is an American. That's right. He showed up. So it looks like the fans are pretty much in complete agreement. Yep. Everyone says Ben Rice. So he's the MVP. Low-key MVP. I don't think there's a Yankee low-key. I have to say, I think Ben Rice is the one guy that showed up. The rest of the series is really freaking ugly. So I'm going to give the low-key MVP to Devers. I'm sorry, man. He was arguably, to be honest, he was really MVP of the series. He was just an absolute machine. That guy's unstoppable. We can't deal with him. So he's a low-key MVP. Devers. Rob.
I'm going to give it to Luis Heel. It was really nice to see him bounce back after some rough starts against the Red Sox lineup that's kicked our ass recently. So I really liked what I saw from Luis Heel last night. I'm hoping that gets him turned around again and that the bad stuff is behind him.
Uncle T.
I actually, the low key, I had Grisham. I thought after we bashed the shit out of him, after that one game, he kind of did show up with the bat. And obviously everybody except, yesterday nobody showed up with a bat. But I thought Grisham was starting to look was playing a lot better that he's been playing every day. So I think the way that he kind of redeemed himself a little bit after getting his ass handed to him by us in the chat, I think he responded fairly well. So because there was very slim pickings, I'm going to give the nod to Grisham for that.
Okay, let's ask the fans. Looks like the fans are going with Luis Heel. We have Jones saying low-key nobody, but Ken goes low-key Heel. And Mr. Barrow says Heel deserves it. So at the moment, it looks like Heel gets the low-key MVP from the fans. Let's go with the Clutch Award. I need to pass it to the panel before I decide what to go on this one. Let's go with Rob.
Verdugo, he hit the home run, tied the game, kind of sparked a little bit of for a tiny bit of time. There was a little fight, a little anger in this team, and looked like they were ready to go. And then it fizzled out after one night. But Verdugo tying the game when he did, I think, sparked that opportunity for Rice to go crazy and the offense to put together that big number. So I'll give Verdugo something. He did show up in that game. This is the only game that we can actually give out an award for, technically. So I'll give that one to Verdugo.
Let's go with Uncle T.
My clutch, I have going to Luis Heel. I thought coming off the win in game 2, the way that he's kind of had a few rough outings. I thought he had probably a very solid bounce back game. And it was, when your team doesn't score, you can't get the win. But I think he pitched the best we've seen him since the slump. So he showed up. He put us in a situation to win the game. So I went with Luis Heel for the clutch.
For the clutch, for me, it's Ben Rice. He's why we won the second game. And put us in position to win the first game too. Had we actually not shit all over ourselves. So I think Ben Rice was the Clutch Award winner. Let's ask the fans. Let's see here. Good mixture of different ones. Jones says Rice. Mr. Barrow says Rice. CBB says Rice. Anthony Garcia says Rice. Sneal says Rice. Yeah, so it's Rice. There's a couple of votes for Doogie in there, but Rice gets the Clutch Award from us, the fans. That's great. Okay, let's get to the pitching awards. Well, that's for me. It's Luis Heel. No one else showed up. Luis Heel absolutely guaranteed. Are we all in agreement with that?
Yep. Clean sweep.
Let's get that written down. He is the man. Luis Heel. Credit to Luis Heel. The movement on his pitches were fantastic. Rob pointed it out that the movement on his changeup yesterday was crazy and was keeping the Red Sox off balance. So he was great. What did you see?
Just saw better stuff. Luca, what's going on,
Hey,
man?
great to see you, brother.
Luca and Alex, they were on vacation. I don't know if they still are. They're like way out there in the time zone, probably missing this nonsense of a Yankee team. So good on them. No, his pitches were moving a lot better yesterday. The fastball was actually missing some bats, which was nice. He was getting tagged on that fastball. His location was terrible the last 3 starts, but last night everything seemed to mix better. Everything moved better too. That slider as well. Everything was just moving better. The spin, velocity, which he never really lost, but last night he was touching 99 on some of those fastballs, and he was getting swings and misses on pitches way out of the zone. That's what he was getting early in the season that he didn't get the last 3 or 4 starts. So everything worked for Luis Gil last night.
He was magic. So he's definitely getting the pitching award. There's no even a question about it. So let's move on. Let's get to the L. Who's taking the L? Who isn't taking the L? But let's start with Uncle Tats. Who's getting your L?
Clay Holmes. You can't throw one more fucking strike? Come on. We had that game. And he gave it away. So big L on Holmes for that.
Rob.
Whatever pitcher in the series decided it was a good idea to throw anything remotely close to the zone to Rafael Devers. But that speaks to the manager's comments after the game saying that he didn't see a reason to walk the guy. They continue to pitch to him. So take the L, Aaron Boone. Stop pitching to Rafael Devers. He kills us. He's matched David Ortiz for most home runs by a Red Sox player in Yankee Stadium. Do you know how long Ortiz was kicking our ass for? From like 04 to what, 2013? Talking about 9 years. I think he retired after 2013. Doesn't matter. He kicked our ass. And now Devers has matched him for the amount of home runs at Yankee Stadium.
16.
That's pretty embarrassing. 16.
Yeah.
Garrett Cole cannot get this guy out. And yeah, why you're pitching to him? So take the L, Aaron Boone, you idiot, for not making adjustments.
Well, he is a moron. My L is going to Anthony Volpe. And most especially that embarrassing play. Now, yeah, it's partly on DJ LeMahieu for not, trying to make things a bit more difficult, get tagged out. That little bit of extra time, maybe an extra step backwards, might have allowed Volpe to score. But really, this speaks to Anthony Volpe. This is all on Anthony Volpe because Anthony Volpe, I don't know if he actually knew what he was supposed to do because he stopped before he got to home plate. He just stopped and he just stared into space. Again, I'm talking about the lack of leadership, lack of energy, and the lack of fundamentals, basic fundamentals. And you know what's frightening? Here's what's frightening, guys. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto had exactly the same play a couple of nights before and scored. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Aaron Judge made the right play. He stopped, forced it. Juan Soto went around and scored because he's got a high IQ. Those two guys are on it. Those two guys know exactly what they're doing. Anthony Volpe just stood and stopped like a rabbit in the headlights before he got to home plate. Then he got tagged out. That has to be stopped. I don't want to hear any more about, he's Derek Jeter. He's Derek Jeter. He's not Derek fucking Jeter. He's Anthony Volpe, and that's a good thing, but he did not know what he was supposed to do on that play. And that is scary to me. And what's scary is the fact he saw it 2 days previously, or whenever.
Done the right way.
Do it the right way. On the right team, on his team. Was he asleep at that point? How did he not know this time? Or he just stood in front before he got to home plate? That's a massive L for me. I mean, it speaks to everything that's wrong with the culture and the leadership and the lack of fundamentals on this team. For me, if I was Aaron Boone, the next day I want 6 o'clock in the morning. I want these guys up doing infield drills and base running drills and getting this thing fixed because this has been going on for far too long. It's been going on since 2018. So don't tell me that Aaron Boone doesn't need to do that. He does need to do it because it's been going on since 2018. If I'm hearing Alex Cora go on the Michael Kay show as a Boston manager talking to New York saying, I have my guys doing extra base running drills, extra infield drills, then there's no reason why Aaron Boone should. None. I don't want to hear it anymore. Don't want to hear it anymore. So that was unacceptable from Anthony Volpe. I'm sick of it.
And I think
seeing the headlights the same freaking thing.
I was going to say the rabbit's the Scottish adaptation, but yeah, that's a good call on that one.
Yeah, so that's my L. Let's go to the fans. Who's getting the L?
Take your pick. A lot of
yeah, I know. A lot for Boone. We got a Canely, just as bad as Holmes.
Couple for Canely. Ken giving himself the L because he got kicked off the shoot for a few minutes yesterday.
That's true. That was funny.
He did?
Lou says Holmes.
Sierra blocked him for like 2 minutes.
Uh-oh.
And LI. It wasn't just him.
Oh, Sierra was just like firing people left, right, and center. It was awesome. You're fired. Gregor
At this rate,
Volpe.
Looks like Volpe's just snuck in there under the wire,
yeah.
So Volpe gets the L.
I think you convinced people that it was Volpe.
Well, yeah, but also there's not much convincing since June. He's batting 178 with no home runs since June 1st. 0 home runs and a 178 batting average. That's incredible.
I'm more concerned with the batting average than the power, to be honest with you.
It's just insane. Yeah. Batting below the Mendoza line. But he was a leadoff hitter for God knows how long. So, yeah, let's move on to Aaron Boone out of 10. Let's go with Rob.
0.
My man.
I gave him a 3 out of 10. I want to give him a 0, but we weren't swept. So, and he did make the decision to move Volpe down and put Rice in front of Soto. So I'm giving him just a couple of bonus points for that one. So I'll give him a 3 out of 10.
I'll give him a 1 for moving Ben Rice to leadoff and taking Volpe out of leadoff. That's the only thing that he did right in this series. So I'll give him that 1 point. 1 out of 10 he's getting. But to be honest, the stuff that he said is just so disgraceful. Disgusting. And that leads me to the Aaron Hicks Award for the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. And there's plenty of candidates. So people who have just joined, we've got a bunch of new subs over the last weekend. For those trying to figure out what the Aaron Hicks Award, that is for the worst of the worst of the worst, right? And it could be anything you want. So get your thinking caps on. Let's go and ask Rob who he has as his Aaron Hicks Award winner for the weekend.
I want to give Boone another one. He was just. I'm giving it to Aaron Boone again. I know we blew that game, but he's reverting back to his old comments. When everything goes wrong, he seems to crumble. He shows zero urgency, and that reflects on the team. I don't think they're going to end up firing him, but they might need to consider it strongly for the first time ever that they fire a manager mid-season, at least in this tenure. This team needs a little urgency, and I know Aaron Judge wouldn't like it too much because he's a big fan of him, but this team needs to snap out of this, and this relaxed attitude from Aaron Boone is starting to really take its toll because there's no reason this team, despite the injuries, there's no reason this team should be playing the way it is. It makes zero sense.
No, it's not right. Not right at all. Uncle T.
The Hicks Award went to Boone. Stop pitching the fucking Devers. You're the manager.
Yeah.
Put up the 4 fingers, give him his base, take your chances with the next guy. Seriously. This Devers fucking owns us. Donald and I were talking off camera a couple of days ago, one of the shows last week, how you always want to make sure that one guy doesn't beat you. Well, that one guy with the Red Sox is Devers. You can't let him beat you. And here we go again and again and again. They're going to let this kid swing the bat. You deserve to lose because you're that fucking stupid.
I couldn't believe it. Every pitch, they were just throwing pitches in the zone to Devers.
Yeah.
Right in his wheelhouse. What do you think was going to happen? My Aaron Hicks Award winner could be a bunch of things. Could be Clay Holmes. Dude's as much of an all-star as I am. In no basis should he ever be in an all-star team. Guy is not good. He's not. Argue a wall. But the Aaron Hicks Award winner is Aaron Boone. There's no question about it. It's Aaron Boone. Because he's cultivated this thing and he keeps pitching to Devers. And then he doesn't have an explanation afterwards. If you're going to have the conviction to pitch to Rafael Devers and it's going out of the freaking ballpark every at bat, at least have the courage and your convictions to stand up for why you did that. But all I hear is him going, no, yeah, I'm not sure. It's not what we wanted. Like, come on, man, just speak to me. What's your thinking? What's your rationale? So why did the entire team just basically give up yesterday? Exactly, Joan. It's just there was no leadership. And also, when you have these things like the rundown with DJ LeMahieu and Volpe, that speaks to a lack of leadership, lack of management. None of this stuff happens under good teams, under good managers. You don't see that. You don't see Grisham just lollygagging around, DJ LeMahieu lollygagging around. You don't see that from other teams. It only happens with the Yankees because Aaron Boone cultivates this culture. And this culture has to stop. And for those thinking that I'm wanting him to go and publicly execute people, no. But there's ways in which that he can communicate that he's not accepting this in front of us, just so that we know. But he doesn't. He's just like, he makes excuses for them. I don't want to hear excuses. No more excuses. And this is the story of this series. It's the too many excuses and a lack of effort and a lack of fundamentals, and some really stupid decisions. Really stupid decisions. And it's come back to bite us in the ass. And it's pretty frightening when people in the booth have a better idea and a better handle of what Aaron Boone should do to generate runs than Aaron Boone.
I do want to throw in real quick. Spencer, I apologize. I haven't really been looking at my phone, but he's been kind of throwing his awards in. But his Aaron Hicks Award is actually the lineup Saturday night. How do you let the Boston Red Sox pitchers go through the game with just 56 pitches of shutout baseball into the 7th inning? How does that happen?
Sunday night.
Sunday night. So he's giving it to the lineup for their lack of discipline at the plate.
But isn't that on Boone?
It could definitely be on Boone.
The lineup's basically exactly the same as what it was on Saturday.
I'm just reading what he wrote.
No. I'm not going after you. I'm just saying in general. Like, the lineup was exactly the same as it was Saturday. We scored 14 runs. The lack of effort and the lack of effort to do anything speaks for me to the manager.
Yeah, let's not speak violence on anybody in the chat. Name calling's one thing.
He had no plan at the plate. Yeah, Cutter Crawford looks great, by the way. Really good, but there's no excuse for him having 60 pitches after 7 innings. That's an embarrassment. Guy could have literally gone 12 innings and had less than 100 pitches thrown.
Yeah. When you go through a lineup that quick, that's absolutely unacceptable. That should never happen. Never. You know, and that was brought up during the show, but it's completely unacceptable.
Also, ESPN was garbage.
I always said, are you shocked? It's bad. At least we don't have to worry about losing a game tonight. The Yankees do have an off night, but we will be back Wednesday, same time, same channel here at the Pitchfork Chronicles. Where fans become family. Just remember, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. And as I always like to say, with those pinstripes of pride, and play hard.